Jurassic World Afterbirth, Rebirth, is Universal's sixth attempt at convincing the world that a Jurassic Park sequel won't suck. But is it actually true this time? Did Gareth Edwards and David Koepp finally pull off a bigger miracle than cloning dinosaurs in the first place? Well, Cory has seen it, and he got a free t shirt, and he's here to tell you about it. So, Cory, I'm going to just go right off the bat. Does it suck?
Not entirely.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a very loaded question, but uh, when you have a movie like the original Jurassic Park that exists, it kind of feels like you're chasing your tail, no matter what you do when you try to make one of these. So uh, definitely better than the last three. I'll start there.
Yeah, so this will be all spoiler free, by the way. We will
Yes,
not.
yes,
I
very
have
much so.
not seen the movie, so I don't want to be spoiled either. I'll see
Yeah,
it in a couple weeks, like everybody else does. But Cory saw it at an early fan screening. My biggest concern with this movie going in is every scene that I've seen. First off, the trailers are terrible. The exposition in the trailers is miserable. Like it's all spliced together from like different scenes, and I'm guessing none of that dialogue actually exists in the movie. Is that right? Yeah, of course.
absolutely
It,
correct. The
yeah,
famous one where Scarlett says it's the DNA from the old theme park testing facility.
yeah,
Completely not in the movie. She
not in the
doesn't say
movie.
it.
Of course,
Someone
of
else
course.
says something similar, but just not there. It's the weirdest
It's
thing,
just
man.
trailer Frankenstein. We got to make
Yeah,
sure they know what the plot
so
is. Yeah,
so strange.
terrible. Um, but my biggest concern was it seemed like every scene that I saw in these early clips was like just recreating famous Steven Spielberg movies. So like there's the scene with the Spinosaurus where they're on the boat and it
Mhm.
just looks like Jaws. And then there's this clip that just got released that just is the exact raptor sequence from the original Jurassic Park.
Mhm.
There's a scene where Jonathan Bailey is like doing the Indiana Jones thing with the egg. Is it as Spielberg fetish as it seems?
No, those are all in the movie,
Yeah,
and they are obvious homages to Steven Spielberg. And I mean, if you're going to pick a guy to rip off, why not the goat,
sure.
right? Like
Right.
he is the best. But and it's obvious, if you've watched Gareth's other movies, he has a certain type of filmmaker that he idolizes, and he tries to emulate that style. Um, and the Spielberg things, there's a few in there. There's one that's not in the trailers; it's in the movie. That when you do the right thing and you play the right music, the goosebumps happen no matter what, right? It's like the layup of all layups, right?
Yeah.
And when it works, and I can't fault them for doing stuff like that. That being said, I feel like they put a lot of that stuff in the trailers because it's some of the best looking stuff in the movie, and it sells the movie really well.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you use something that looks and feels Spielbergian to get butts in seats?
Right. And I know that raft scene was actually a scene that was supposed to be in the original Jurassic Park, and they had to cut it due to runtime, and it just didn't fit. So
Yeah,
hopefully that's a highlight of the movie.
it is, and this is not a spoiler. It is the best action sequence in the entire film.
Okay,
It
that's good.
actually, like,
Nice.
it rips. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
Sweet. I'm
yeah,
glad to hear that because there
yeah.
was a lot of hype around that, both from fans and from David Koepp himself. So,
Yep.
speaking of David Koepp, original screenwriter for Jurassic Park,
Mhm.
that one was an adaptation, obviously. This one is an original screenplay. So, how is the screenplay? How is the story?
It is my second favorite kept screenplay that I've seen this year. So the
He's
first
put out
one,
so many of them.
yeah, the first one was Black Bag, which is a great little spy thriller with Michael Fassbender. Then there's this, and then I think he wrote Presence,
He
which
did. Correct.
Soderbergh also directed.
Yep.
Um, I mean, it's a very serviceable script. Uh, the story is not as deep as I was hoping it would be. And again, you're going to hear me say this probably 3 or 4 times during the course of this. When you're comparing it to the original Jurassic Park, you just can't, because that's a perfect movie. And yes, Jurassic Park is a massive blockbuster that changed filmmaking, but it also had a script that had a lot to say about
Yes.
corporate greed and what should we do even if we can do it, like what matters, what doesn't, that kind of stuff. There's not a lot of that in this movie. The
That,
script is
yeah.
very, let's get here, let's do this, let's do the next thing, and let's make sure that we don't die while it's all happening, which is fine. um, during those parts, the dialogue is well written. You know, there are characters that are written well. Like Jonathan Bailey's character is a scientist museum employee before he goes on this mission. He's clearly the smartest one in the bunch. He uses the most dense vocabulary. Scarlett Johansson's character is kind of like a merc for hire, very financially driven. You can see that. Mahershala Ali, kind of the same thing. And they all do their parts as the script demands. It's just not, it's a little bit more in the favor of spectacle than
Mm.
story, if that makes sense.
That kind of tracks with other Gareth Edwards movies that I've seen
Yeah.
lately, where it
Mhm.
just doesn't stick the landing with the character work. And you're absolutely right about the original Jurassic Park. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, like Mount Rushmore type stuff for
Yep.
me.
Mhm.
And I think what you said is perfect. The thing that differentiates that movie from any other Jurassic Park sequel is that there are still things in that movie today that you can reference however many years later, and it still fits today's society. Like it's making
Absolutely.
a statement on greed and pushing things too far. I've seen that damn lawyer meme where he's like, we're going to make a fortune with this place. Like
Hmm.
it's playing off corporations, and this is 20, 25 years ago versus more than that, right? Like 30 years ago or something
It's
at this point.
Well, it's funny because there's like a little crawl at the beginning of the movie, and it says 32 years after dinosaurs first
Yeah,
walked the
there you
earth
go.
again or whatever.
Got
So
it.
yeah, I did the math in my head in the theater, and I was like, oh look, that's right. It's
Yeah,
now. It's 2025. Cool.
was 93, so yeah, 32
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
Yeah, and even 32 years later, those corporation messages still ring true.
Hmm.
And the other thing that people that I guess is not in this one, and maybe it is, but is there any romance in it at all?
Um, sort of. There are two plots that happen in the movie, and one is the group of people who are on this mission to extract all this DNA, and then
Yeah,
the other group is a family. So it's a father, two daughters, and then one of the daughters has a boyfriend, and there's some
got it,
romance there and like some winning the trust and respect of the father type stuff, but nothing like what's in the original Jurassic Park.
got it. So
But
one,
they do a kid thing, right? So there's a little kid in the movie that's part of the family. It feels like it wouldn't be a Jurassic movie
you got to
if you
have a
didn't
kid
lean
in
on
peril.
putting a kid in danger, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think one of the underrated things about the first Jurassic Park movie is how it gets you invested in the characters is actually a bit of a love triangle
yeah,
between Ian, Alan, and Laura Dern's character's name, who his name escapes
yeah.
me.
There's
Ellie? Is
none of
that
none
right?
of that. Uh,
I don't know why
Dr.
I can't think
Sadler,
of her
yeah,
name. Yeah,
yeah, none
but
of that in this movie.
yeah, but so yeah, the emotion probably not there. But let's get on to the spectacle because that's what Gareth Edwards is so good at, and I'm
Yeah, man,
guessing there's a lot of it. He's so
dude,
good at scale.
it's good. All of that stuff. There are some shots in it where you're like, well, goddamn, we're cooking here, right? Like establishing shots that just make everything look and feel massive and huge. Like I said, the story is kind of contained. It's a small story. It's only a handful of characters, basically one location, but the way they shoot it makes it feel like it's the biggest island you've ever seen in your entire life,
It
right?
To me, this is sounding a little bit more Jurassic Park 3 than anything else, where it's like you've got this family, they recruit sort of the mercenaries to go onto this island, and then everything goes wrong. Is that
There,
about right?
there's a little bit of that. It veers in a couple different directions, and I don't want to get too far into
Yeah.
the spoiler side of things, but yeah, there's a little bit plucked from every movie, if that
Mm,
makes sense, which is kind
got
of
it.
what they do at this point because they want to. It's like when a new Star Wars thing comes out, and then they make an original trilogy reference, they make a prequel trilogy reference, and they make a sequel
Yeah.
trilogy reference because they want to check the boxes for everybody.
Yeah.
So that way their scorecard is full and their Rotten Tomatoes is a 78%.
Yeah. I'm wondering what this Rotten Tomato score will be because this is rare that we review a movie before any really reviews are out about it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I went into it. I had seen the aforementioned not great trailers, and aside from that, I didn't have a single tweet or Instagram post or Blue Sky thing, nothing had crossed my eyeballs that said, I like this movie, I hate this movie, this is why you're an awful person if you do, or any of that. And it was
I'm
actually
sure
kind of
there will be.
refreshing to go into a film that way,
Yeah, we're
and formulate
predating
my
the
own thoughts.
narrative.
Yeah,
Yeah. So he shot this one on film
he did.
instead of digitally, like the creator. Did that really show up?
Oh,
Did it? I mean, I'm sure it looks
100%.
great,
Yeah.
but I think the creator also looked great.
It
It's just interesting that he's kind of flipped back and forth because I believe Rogue One was shot on film, right? Or did he shoot that on the Alexa?
That was the Alexa
Was it
because
the
it was
Alexa? Okay.
Frasier. Yeah, but he shot this one on film. They used Kodak film with Panavision lenses. They wanted to give it that look and feel
Is it
of
1:8:5 ratio?
no. It's so
No.
this is the most
What the hell,
inconsistent
man?
film
Come
franchise
on.
when it comes to aspect ratios. So Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3 are all 185.
Yeah.
Jurassic World is 2.0 to 1, which is the stupid Netflix TV aspect
Right.
ratio. It goes to 239 for Fallen Kingdom. It goes back to 2.0 for Dominion, and then this one is 239.
235.
I
239.
can't
All right.
explain it in any way, shape, or form. That's
I would.
the one ding that I have on the visual everything of the film is that 185 works for dinosaurs because you can
Yeah.
show how fucking tall they are.
It's
When you do it in
amazing to me
CinemaScope,
that
you're
yeah,
shrinking everything.
somebody obsessed with Steven Spielberg would not shoot in the same aspect ratio that Spielberg shot in, and he specifically shot in that aspect because of the height of the dinosaur, like the
Correct.
scale. That's why he
Yep.
shot it that way. What?
Yep.
What are we doing?
I couldn't explain it. It was so weird. I saw it in a Dolby Cinema, and there were letterbox bars on top and bottom of the screen because it was in scope. But
Is
I
this
mean,
getting any ratio change for IMAX or no?
no,
I,
because
to
it
me,
comes
this
out
seems
on
like why have we not gotten Jurassic Park IMAX at this point? It seems like a
well.
layup.
So part of that with this movie in particular, this one was greenlit very quickly and rushed into production.
Yeah.
It comes out 5 days or 6 days before Superman, and Superman has all the IMAX screens for
Right.
probably like the entire month of July. So it has Dolby Cinema. There's nothing in the marketing, the posters, anything that say see it in IMAX because it's not going to have an IMAX run.
To me, it feels like, when I saw Dune, like the scale of everything really amped up when I saw that in IMAX. So there's so much verticality to it. I would have figured somebody would make IMAX work on Jurassic Park. Maybe they'll recruit Christopher Nolan at some point to come make a dinosaur movie, show him how it's done.
So poo-pooing on that aside, the movie still looks great. The use of film, there's just those weird little like ticks and inconsistencies and chromatic aberrations, and there's a velvety feel
Mhm.
to like when they're doing stuff when they're on the island and they're kind of in the swamp and it's just a bunch of different shades of green. You get that really nice filmic texture. I
For
love
some
that.
reason, digital I think mostly can emulate film with the exception of green. For
Green,
some reason,
yes.
film captures green so much better than any digital camera can. I don't know why, but like whenever I take, because I shoot on both film and digital, whenever I
Yep.
take photos of green things on film, I always love it so much more
It's
than
crazy. I
when I
don't know
take
what
it
it is,
digitally.
man.
Yeah.
I don't know what the mystery is with how it gets captured or how it gets developed or whatever it is, but like all the jungle environments in this movie, they feel really lush and they feel really alive, and I attribute a lot of that to the fact they shot it on film, which
Yeah.
I get it, it's expensive to shoot on film, it's a lot
With a
cheaper to go
production like
digital,
that,
but when you're doing a big Jurassic Park movie, like
yeah.
go for it, do it.
Yeah. 100%. I always find that like digital, I think, is absolutely amazing for lower budget productions because you can, run and gun a whole lot more. And something like The Creator is perfect, like a
Yes.
perfect encapsulation of the advancements that digital technology has made in the industry because he shot that on an FX3. That's like a $3,800 camera.
And
Granted, it's like
it's
a
this big.
it's like a giant rig around it, but still,
But the camera itself is big enough to fit in your pocket without a lens on it, which is
you know,
crazy.
28 days later or whatever, weeks later, or what's the new one
Years,
coming out? Years
years,
later. Yeah. 28 years later is shot on an iPhone. So
the
like,
whole thing. Yep.
it's crazy just the advancements in digital. But when you're making a big tentpole production, I still feel like it's worth it to shoot on film if people know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think it's making a resurgence.
Yeah.
Like Sinners was shot on film
Yeah.
and was a massive success. This was shot on film and looks great. Nolan's doing The Odyssey
The
on
whole movie in
these new
IMAX.
IMAX cameras
Hmm.
where you can actually record dialogue on them now. It's all film. It's all tall aspect ratio. So it's kind of neat to see. I'm usually somebody who hates the whole everything that's old is new again, but in this
Hmm.
case, I'm like, yes, embrace it,
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
more film. Right.
Yep. All right, so let's get on to the trio. So Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey, all sort of A. Jonathan Bailey's maybe B-list actor, but he was great in Wicked and Bridgerton and all that stuff. So like, how is the cast? Are they kind of blockbustery, or are they putting on their Oscar performances?
um so Mahershala is blockbustery,
Yeah,
but in a good way. The dude has so much charisma
yeah,
in his body, and it just radiates off of him in this movie, which is great. um Scarlett is in big time action star mode.
Marvel mode.
Yeah, but like even grittier, I think, because of the setting and the fact that this is
Hmm.
much more grounded. But like anytime you have to shoot a gun or prod a dinosaur or something, it's Scarlett who's doing it. It's
Got it.
always her, right? And then Jonathan Bailey, I think he's on his way up right
Yeah,
now. Like the
yeah.
Wicked thing brought a lot of eyeballs to him, and then he holds his own in all the scenes with the actual A-list actors that are in here. I would say he probably gives the best performance in the film, um, and it's because his character is like the fish out of water character, because he's the guy who worked in a museum, science nerd, never been on something as crazy as this before. So everything to him is like a oh my god, holy shit kind of moment, and he plays all that really well.
Nice. All right. So last question I'll ask you,
Okay.
because now you've seen one of the three, but of the big July movies, so you've
uh,
seen this,
Here we go.
Superman and Fantastic Four, the other two. Now that you've seen one of them, does that change your opinion on which of the three you think you'll like the most?
Probably not.
Okay.
Um, I still think that both of the comic book movies are going to be better than this one.
Got it.
Um, I might be proven wrong, and this one might slip past Fantastic Four, depending on if they go full Marvel at the end with it. But there's too much hype, and there's so much going on about Superman right now that I feel like that's still the movie to beat for the entire summer, box office wise, hype wise. It's one of the biggest characters in the world. It's hard to top that. It got all the IMAX screens.
Yeah.
It's shot for IMAX. They're making a big deal. The John Williams music is just like I've been humming that stupid Superman theme around my house all day for like the past 4 weeks. I can't get it
You
out of my
know,
head.
I didn't get that stuck in my head. I got that kid saying Superman, Superman, Superman. That's stuck in my head.
Yeah,
That's
it's
stupid
everywhere, man.
kids. But
But yeah,
all right, so let's close this out. Would you
yeah,
recommend Jurassic World After Rebirth to your friends and family?
uh, I would, yeah, and I would recommend it, not necessarily for the reasons that you would think. Most people don't have an adequate system in their home to enjoy a movie like this the way that it was intended to be seen. I saw it in Dolby Theater, has a great projector, everything looks beautiful. There's a lot of audio going on in there, and they utilize all of it. The dinosaurs, when they roar, you get the liver shiver in your seat from all the subwoofers that are running nice and hot and everything. That's stuff that you don't get at home. And if you want to be able to go to the movies, get a giant thing of popcorn, you know, I don't like saying turn your brain off for 2 hours, but like kind of check out of the real world for a little while,
Yeah.
this is a very good and easy way to do that. So,
Awesome. Well, anything else?
gosh, no, I still like Gareth Edwards. I know a lot of people have been shitting on him lately, but I like his movies. This one's not my favorite, not by a long shot, but for what it was and the script that he had and everything, did a pretty good job.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned, subscribe if you want to see any more of our movie reviews. We're going through everything in July. Of course, Superman and Fantastic Four that we just talked about. We'll cover F1. Anything else, Elio maybe. I'm seeing that tomorrow. So anything else that comes out over the summer, we will be here for it.